you do mountain bike cross-country races, you need to love to suffer, because you suffer from the first minute to the last minute. Endurance is a huge part of my training. All that counts is that I'm ready on race day. Yeah, it starts all with good planning. First you have to set your goals, plan your races you want to do. Then I normally train in 4-week blocks. I have a rest week, 3 weeks with different loads, middle week up to a really hard week, and then again another 4-week block starts.
Niño these days does about 14 to 16 race days, maybe 10 of those days or then super important ones like World Cup races and national, international championships. There are always gaps in between where he can actually focus on training and get on a specific schedule.
Yeah, here you see my Olympic year, 2016. Started training in November, some race training back home, a lot of Nordic skiing, then a really 3 hard weeks in South Africa with a lot of hours and a lot of intensities. And then as soon the races started, it's a bit less hours, but with a lot of intensities with the race and also in between.
When I compare the endurance training of today and back in the 90s when I was racing, first of all, a big difference was that we did pretty much everything on the bike only. Also power stuff was all on the bike. We were cyclists, we were training on the bike.
I normally train 6 days a week. I have 1 rest day. Then on the training days I train 2 sessions or sometimes also 3 sessions. Normally 2 to 3 runnings per week. The rest in summer is force training and the most time is cycling, road and mountain bike. I also train a lot of different sports, so I challenge my body always again on a new level, and that works pretty well for me.
Well, I usually trained as much as possible. There was a certain plan to it, but still a very flexible one. And this is also very different to the training of today, where everything is very specific and measured and everything has to be in its order. I was usually looking up in the air, and when the sun was out I was usually doing a little bit more than I should, and when the weather was bad I did a little bit less than I should.
Yeah, I always focus on quality before quantity. I train the whole year through maybe 950 to 1,000 hours. There are other athletes that train more, but I really focus on quality.
And then it's the quantity that was much higher back then, but that has also to do with the duration of the races, because they were back then 2.5 to 3 hours, and today's races are only 90 minutes, means like half the distance.
Over my whole training, about 75% of my training is endurance training, and 25% is really intensive training like intervals. Just before the races I do really intensive stuff, the anaerobic trainings, that's to get ready for the real intensive stuff in the races, and also to get me mentally ready, to get used to the suffering, and that's also quite important. But the goal of interval training is to stay as long as possible in exactly that target zone you are looking for. So if you do a VO2 max training, you want to be as long as possible in that zone. And if you train with a power meter, you can, right from the beginning, you can start in this zone. Your heart rate is maybe at the beginning a bit too low, but it gets higher and higher, and towards the end it's probably also up there. But with the power meter, you are much more precise, and you are from the beginning right in the right zone. In a mountain bike race, you never have a climb that goes longer than 2-3 minutes. So you have always just those short peaks, a short recovery of 20 or 30 seconds, and then it's again a short climb where you need to deliver really high performance, high power.
Looking back now, I think I could have done so much better with more know-how, or with the know-how of today. Things would have been so much more efficient.
Yeah, all my training sessions are to perform better, to get faster, and to get used to this situation. And especially the interval trainings also teaches me mentally to sustain those uncomfortable situations.
When Niño does his training, he really is 100% focused on this training. He knows exactly what he does, he knows exactly what's on his schedule, and he follows this schedule 100%. No matter if it's cold or hot, if it's rainy or sunny, he just does his thing.
I wouldn't say I have a training that I prefer, and I really like all the different kind of trainings I can do in mountain bike. The long road rides, or the long ski touring in winter, and then some really intensive intervals on my mountain bike. It's like it gives you a nice diversity of different sessions, and that I'm really like in the mountain bike sport.